studies have a bias. You got your facts, I got weight. But why if maybe a little crazy? Studying language, AZ, and everything between. English colonized lives, I won't settle for your dreams. Shuttle on the scene, I'm flying, I'm unidentified. Trying to give me titles, I flip the script like a Gemini. Aligned with the stars, yes, really I am a stronger being than Iron Man. Never mind the world, I got the iron hand. Never mind the money, you should see my palm. I could touch the world, atomic bomb style. You know life goes on, child. We've only been here for a long while. Starving and I'm walking down a long aisle. Everybody looking at me like I'm on trial. All cause my skin tone sound like wow. Sound like wow. It just sound like wow.
With what I know now, it's no wonder why these haters try to profile.
Sound like wow. It just sound like wow.
Wisdom of the womb in your ear right now. It just sound like wow.
Unk on my chest, the symbol of my success. I travel through time and mind, give this body a rest. I'll shoddy the sheriff, no need to body the rest. Shells alter his chest, I'm just revolving the stress. Since we all plagued, I drop pearls of age. No equivalent wage, words stick to the pages of the sages. Written for some everyday kids. We grow old, you know they say we don't stay big. Tables turn, what's your response to how they live? It's getting late, we running out of time. Why I call it mankind if anybody gets left behind? Shout out to my mother, she's a great gift I find. I love you. All this greatness in line, sacred paradigm spinning in my mind. And it just sound like wow. It just sound like wow.
With what I know now, it's no wonder why these haters try to profile.
Sound like wow. It just sound like wow.
Wisdom of the womb in your ear right now. It just sound like wow.
So walk 20 some grams from my sock. All I ask is please listen when I talk. I just hope to shift the coast when I drop. All I know is that the limit isn't my stop. On this road, how much collisions will I cops? Always on the mind, and if you're holding it down, pop, it can't hurt to ask right. The better man is never supposed to play the ass right. I could be the worst, I was pondering it last night. By a palm through an owl in a tree. A bit about me, not sure about what you see. I'm a real mother's son, not sure about what you be. Whatever will, I guess. On my worst day, I may reveal my best. So you can sell your soul, I will still invest. To uplift the rest who are still oppressed. Yes. Sound like wow. It just sound like wow.
With what I know now, it's no wonder why these haters try to profile.
Sound like wow. It just sound like wow.
Wisdom of the womb in your ear right now. It just sound like wow.
MSTA, another one. So why you trying to infiltrate more signs with your branch of division? I ain't seen no alliance. And what's with all the hostility, defiance? The truth is like a sledgehammer, ain't no denying. And most of y'all schools of thought you be lying. Ain't no difference from the Dogons, Olmecs, and Mayans. So what you trying? They all Moors, navigate the 7 seas and ruled all the shores. Channel the breed, and we explored. We used to worship trees and travel through doors. MSTA, another one. So why you trying to infiltrate more signs with your branch of division? I ain't seen no alliance. And what's with all the hostility, defiance? The truth is like a sledgehammer, ain't no denying. And most of y'all schools of thought you be lying. Ain't no difference from the Dogons, Olmecs, and Mayans. So what you trying? They all Moors, navigate the 7 seas and ruled all the shores. Channel the breed, and we explored. We used to worship trees and travel through doors. And when we walk streets, it's us they adored. Amor, Arm, leg, arm, head, always. And it's all law, no pray. And it's all work, no play. And nationality is the order of the day. Sheikh Sharif Abdullah Lay, he's the last prophet that was sent to free Mason. Oh, I mean my son. Just remember, the cycle soon done. A Medunetar, another soon come. A Moorish science is a Moorish science to help me navigate the cosmos and orbit Orions. Space boot the satellite, plus tickets and summons. If they don't pay, I'm rich with heat, sun 'em and bun 'em. More wealth coming, no need for gunning or hanging on the poor corner from the beast, no running. So more rich with knowledge of birthright theft. Won't leave me like I'm a do, but I might get only under color of. No undercover love for the more rich gods on earth or above. Extra terror astral, not crooks with castles. Rituals more rich, I learned from Randolph Pascal. More rich and bust the axle. More rich makes enter fast snap and crackle. Bury the wealth like a jackal. Save it for later to suit a constitutional psychopathic inferior hater. More rich mysteries stay lesser and greater. More rich with the science, no need for fiat paper. More rich furnace turn this beat to vapors. More rich, added master mason. Omega Maroc, I vex 'em with the fam, no phones. I mental text 'em, vent and hex 'em with shaman stones and donkey jaw bones. Where's the Moorish chorus?
I remember teachers teaching the ancient. I'm reaping rewards with my patience. I have escaped from the matrix. Save it. Memory bank, I replace it. Moorish science, masses, face it. We got to move forward with the basics. Law is all and you can't erase it. I am master and student. Pace it, lace it, up in your psyche. Drew Ali got that mandate back. Laws of the land, we white, not black. Read definitions, plan up your mission. All us, not us, prepare, quicken. Spiritual levels of consciousness, intra, life. Super, magnetic, and infinite. Yes, beings of light, this is our land. 30 million acres with the power in our hand. Just the power in our hand.
I think deeper on what we are. From word sound to dust, from dust to star. From star back to dust again. From God body to ruffian. Particle realities that trust in men. Despite the growing pains. The visions in the holy names. Infinite potentials that we hold in chains. Yet we hold the same. 99.9% DNA. So how could complexion be probable cause for a BNA? I've seen brothers go through the same of what I've been through. But how are we supposed to? Is it what we're exposed to? The guidance of Allah. Hindsight is 2020 and 2015, that's not far. Religions are irrelevant. Stand firm and stick to the covenant. It's not between God and one nation or one group of people. That's insane. It's between God and man. That's you and your creator, hand to hand. More science.
Islam Moors. Peace and love to all Moors. Honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. The man saved us. Well, saved who wanted to be saved. Because Allah only helps those who help themselves. Honors to all the mothers. This is one of your ones today. I'll give you yours. If you got any questions, just put it in the chat in all caps. Why is Noble Drew Ali the man? Noble Drew Ali is the man because he brought us everything it took to save a nation and told us to save ourselves. He brought us everything it takes to save a nation. Noble Drew Ali told the Moors, have a greater respect for womanhood. Because obviously she wasn't respected. Why wasn't she respected? Because we've been following the patriarchs of Rome, and they don't respect stuff that's matriarchal. They only respect patriarchal stuff. So we're gonna take an excerpt today from The Anatomy of Female Power a masculinist dissection of matriarchy. Chinwizu, whatever. It's dealing with the matriarch. So honors to all the mothers today. Honors to all the mothers every day, but today, we got you. If you got any questions, just throw them in the chat. The facade of patriarchy. My husband may be the head of the house. I am the neck that turns the head. An American housewife. Many mammal societies, once thought to be run by a dominant male, are now known to be matriarchies. Elephants are a good example, because the big bull, the alpha male, is always the most noticeable and the most threatening. He was always mistakenly thought to be the leader, but the true herd ruler is the alpha female, who was swiftly and quietly led the group away to safety. She is the one who takes all the decisions. So all the alpha males out there, you're a fraud. Just know that you're a fraud if you're an alpha male. It's that simple. If you're claiming alpha maleism, you're definitely a fraud. There ain't no alpha male stuff going on out here. Matriarch rules every day, all day. And there ain't nothing that you could do about it. That's just what it is. Contrary to feminist propaganda, which alleges that most human societies are and have been patriarchies, human societies are no exception to the rule of matriarchies operating covertly behind a facade of patriarchy. Indeed, patriarchy is a facade. Patriarchy is a facade, most soothing to the male ego for wife rule. That this is so is confirmed by women from some of the most dissimilar cultures in the world. Take what an American housewife told me during a wedding reception on a boat in Boston Harbor, quoted above, about the neck that turns the head. And take what a Saudi Arabian woman professor said on BBC World Service. The traditional Saudi wife runs her family and runs her husband. It may be tempting to say that even if patriarchy is a facade for matriarchy in the home, it couldn't be so in public life, which is almost exclusively a male turf. But alas, whether in the home or the public arena, matriarchy is the law of life. This proposition may be demonstrated by first looking at some societies where matriarchy is not entirely covert but operates in part through formal public institutions. Any traditional African societies, men and women have long had parallel organizations and complementary institutional powers. It is usual for the king, the queen, who, by the way, is not the wife of the king, but the head of the woman's parallel branch of public organization, the war marshal and the queen mother, with their respective councils and officials to exercise separate and countervailing powers. Viewed from that world, much of Western political practices can be quite puzzling. Zulu Sofola, a Nigerian playwright and researcher into African traditions, once retold the following conversation which had taken place between herself and her mother. It occurred at a time when Margaret Thatcher, Prime Minister of Britain, was embroiled in one of her political battles. Zulu Sofola's mother, who lives in the traditional Igbo milieu, asked her, "Everybody is talking ill of Margaret Thatcher. Why doesn't she use her powers to stop them?" "She has no powers other than those of men," Zulu replied. "But where is her Utu Omo, the Council of Women? The Utu Omo should take the matter up and set these men right." "Who do they think they are?" demanded Zulu's mother. "White people don't have Omu," Zulu explained. "Ah, who speaks for the woman?" her mother wondered. In the white man's world, nobody speaks for women, Zulu told her. As part of the intricate system of checks and balances, in some traditional African societies, women exercise the most effective sanction against misrule. When a king becomes intolerable to his subjects, a procession of grandmothers will march naked to his palace. No ruler survives this final and dramatic repudiation by the mothers of his subjects. Usually, the threat of this march is enough to bring erring and dictatorial rulers to heel. Or you could just look it up. Anatomy of Female Power. As you can see, this is a binded, so there ain't no bought book. This is jack the book and make your own copy, and then give the book back, or see if there's a PDF. Anatomy of Female Power. In the West, where parallel male-female public institutions are not the norm, women nevertheless operate a covert matriarchy. At society matrons, Western elite women control political parties from behind the scenes, from places where they are safe from political shrapnel. Those very few, like Margaret Thatcher or Golda Meir, who insist on savoring the risks of political combat, have run the men around them like nannies run their packs of little boys. For example, here's how Margaret Thatcher, by manipulating men's fear of women, manages the male politicians and civil servants around her. According to Anthony King, professor of government at Essex University, Miss Thatcher is, in her personal dealings, a considerate person. She has no trouble in winning the affection and loyalty of those in her immediate circle, principally at number 10 Downing Street. Nevertheless, in her relations with her fellow ministers, civil servants, and conservative MPs, her distinctive weapon, far more than in the cases of men like Churchill, Macmillan, or Wilson, is fear. In Mrs. Thatcher's case, the use of fear as a political weapon does not imply the use of the chopping block or the garrote. On the contrary, those who Mrs. Thatcher politically executes can look forward to a knighthood if they are lucky, to a life peerage if they are luckier. Rather, Miss Thatcher uses fear in two less malign ways that are nevertheless equally effective. The first is by means of face-to-face fear, fear at first hand. Miss Thatcher has a formidable personality, and she is capable of hectoring, cajoling, threatening, wrong-footing, bullying, embarrassing, and even humiliating her ministers and officials. She puts the fear of God into people, and they usually respond well. Of course, there is no need to use this particular weapon very often. Fear of being on the receiving end of a prime ministerial tongue-lashing, or even merely a prime ministerial fraudière, is usually adequate to the purpose. One specific aspect of her use of face-to-face fear is worth mentioning. Miss Thatcher long ago observed that most well-brought-up Englishmen, especially though not only if they went to a public school, have no idea what to do with a strong, assertive woman. Not only are they brought up not to be rude to women, they find it very difficult in general to deal with women in the same matter-of-fact, direct way that they deal with men. Women, to them, are mothers or nannies to be feared, or sisters to be bullied, or alternatively adored. The average Englishman of the middle and upper classes simply quails in the presence of a formidable female personality, torn between the desire to strike and the desire to sulk, not knowing what an appropriate response would be. Miss Thatcher's long ago noticed that such Englishmen found it hard to stand up to her, and conceived a considerable contempt for the whole tribe. As one of her former ministers, Sir John Knott, said in a recent television interview, she thinks all men are wimps. Killing that alpha male stuff. Remember, this is a European, by the way. So if European is playing like that, if Europeans playing like that, right? What happened to you mothers? No, the mother of civilization isn't playing like that. Especially since you have a prophet who came to you and told you that your humanity, all life on the planet comes from the Moabite, Moorish, quote-unquote African woman, quote-unquote black woman, quote-unquote indigenous women councils, the Amazon women, Wonder Woman and all that. No men around, just women. Whole nation of women. And these European women got their men in check. You're all out here tripping? You're out here getting treated like who knows what. And then on top of that, putting that BS on yourself, dancing up and down the place and all other BS, doing all that, but not honoring yourself and honoring what it is you're supposed to be about. Your humanity. The Asiatic woman is humanity. Every nation comes from your womb. How is it that you now are the doormat that everybody's getting to use anyway and anyhow? And don't look at men and all that stuff. You need to defend us, and we can't do stuff because the men aren't defending anything and all that stuff. When you have moon power, you could stop a man's heart tomorrow if you really want to. If you get mad enough, you could look at a brother, European, Asiatic, whatever. You could look at him and shut him down. What you mean? So there's been a neglect for yourself, mother. There's been doesn't matter, you can, get by and independent woman and dancing by yourself. No, it has nothing to do with that. You're the queen bee. You're not little Kim. You're the queen bee. Step your stuff up because you're the founder of civilizations. And you're not going to be running anything. You're out here yaddy yaddy and all that and twerking and doing all this BS. It ain't happening. Some of you mothers need to check your sisters. Some of you mothers who know what's up need to pull your sisters' coattails and slap them at the back of the head sometimes. Because they're part of the reason why stuff is messed up. Because you're out here trying to be honorable. You're out here trying to, uplift yourself. Be a great example for your children and all that stuff. And then as soon as you turn around, your child's victim to some slut or some whore out here doing madness. And then he's getting caught up in them. He's getting caught up in the dumb stuff. And then again, don't look at men or whatever, because Men are minuscule in this conversation. Because remember, the alpha male, he's a simp. Alpha male is a wimp. Alpha male doesn't have power. That's a fiction. A real alpha male lets mother rule. And he just enforces if he's really alpha male. Alpha male talking about, 800 pull-ups, so that means I'm the man and all that stuff. That's some BS. That's a fiction. It's time for you to uplift yourself, uplift your sisters. Don't look at men to defend you and all that stuff, because you already know, like I said, you could go in the tub and all that stuff, do your little rituals, candles and all that stuff. You do all your candles and all that, right? And you could shut some stuff down. Matter of fact, you can close the legs tomorrow and don't give any of these brothers any yoni, and I bet you they fix their stuff tomorrow. Immediately. It's not even going to be a question. Because they're not going to go turn gay and all that stuff. They're not going to fondle themselves. They need the yoni in their life. You close your legs and see what happens to all these men out here if they don't get their stuff together. But again, you're going to be battling your mothers, your sisters, who they don't want to close the yoni. They want to play, it's all good. He's just he's this and he's that. No, he's nothing. He's your son. Why are you involving yourself in incest and all that stuff? You're talking BS about Moors. Moors are Moabites. They're incestuous and all that stuff. But then you're sleeping with your sons and having children with your sons. Those are your sons. Those aren't men. Those are your sons. Every man is a son. I don't care how old he is, how young he is, how cute he is, how muscular he is. He's not your man. He's a son. Put him in his place. But again, you can't be, Cardi B and those minded women talking about you're going to put some man in your place. Stop the BS. Because if you're out of order, everybody's out of order. And if we look around and we see that stuff is out of order, don't look at the government did something. Don't look at, God didn't do something. Don't look at self. Look at all the mothers who are out of order, who get the most props for being out of order. They get the most props when they do out of order. Do some righteous stuff, or ain't nobody talking about that. Let her be able to move one ass cheek at a time, and she gets all the props. Let her be able to put a pole in her house and call that exercising and all. Oh yeah, we're exercising on the pole. No, that's stripping. Stop the BS. You want to exercise? Go to the gym. You don't tell me you have a pole in your house telling me about your exercising. Stop the BS. Stop it. You have a pole in the house. And then you put on halter top and have the yoni all out there and stuff like that. Talk about exercising. Put on some track pants and go exercise. What are you talking about? Stop the dumb stuff. It all starts with mothers getting their stuff together. That's why Drew Ali was uplifting mother. Because once she's uplifted, everything else is going to be in order. Everything else will be in order. She hasn't been uplifted. That's why everything is out of order. Everything is out of order right now. You name it, it's out of order. You just go on Reels. Just go on Reels and scroll through Reels and see how many half-naked mothers are on there. Talking about, just showing off the new belly chain of because, we're making these beads for the whatever. No, you're not. No, you're not. But if you're honorable, you have dressed down to your ankles if you really honored yourself. If you really honored yourself, you have your turban on. To really honor yourself, you only have your face in all the shots. You don't need to see your body and all that stuff. You don't need to see it. Unless you're dressed properly and all that stuff, covering up your stuff and all that. Fine. Other than that, playing games. So all the mothers who know, all the mothers who have knowledge, all the sibyls, all the high priestesses, all the oracles, all the divine beings who have yonis out there, talk to your sisters. For real, talk to them. Because don't expect a man to do it, because men like breasts and ass and camel toes and stuff like that. They're not going to say, don't do it. Mother, you need to put some stuff on. They're not going to say that. It ain't happening. Right? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was one. Right? She's there twerking, then the sons are in there, whether that was mother, whether that was aunt, whether that was babysitter or whatever. She's there twerking, pulling off the pants in the thong and all that stuff. And then they're joining in and stuff like that. And none of these mothers went and strangled her. None of them. And took all these sons, pulled their pants down, beat their ass, beat all their asses, send them to their room with no Xbox, no PS5 and all that stuff. Send them to the room in the corner. But this is where we're at. We don't get discipline anymore. We come from the era of discipline. Right? I'm a 70s. So we know what ass beatings were. Whether it was belt, hanger, pot, spoon, knife, whatever. Go outside, pick something, whatever, hand. Most times, you just get the look and you stop doing the BS. They can't even do that anymore. You see them in the mall and all that stuff. Hey, you can't, fuck you, mom, you can't do shit to me, I'm going to call the police and all that stuff. Oh, yeah? You get your ass beat. And here's the phone, call them. And stuff doesn't happen anymore. So, all the mothers, it's time for you now to play your role. Hot Wheels track. When you got the Hot Wheels track, you know, no more Hot Wheels. Right? You know there's no more Hot Wheels. It's over. So the mothers are going to be the ones to fix this madness going on. Like the mothers are going to be the ones. Sons, we did our part, but it ain't happening. Because the mothers ain't hearing what we're saying. The mothers need to hear mothers tell them. Mothers need to get put in check by mothers. Because sons been doing enough debating back and forth and all that stuff. And this stuff is over. Ain't no more debating with sons about nothing. Where's the mothers at? All the honorable, righteous mothers. It's time to get out your cocoon and all that stuff. You have your wings and all that stuff now. Now it's time to regulate some of these lopsided mothers out here who's making this stuff messed up. Right? Can you explain how people with MC or MAC last names come back to Moorish history? I would say I can't do it justice, but if you go get Ancient and Modern Britons by David McRitchie, there's a part 1 and a part 2. And you get Ancient and Modern Britons, David McRitchie, and he'll clear up all that stuff and more. Way more. More than I could do on this thing right here. Ancient and Modern Britons. And again, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat. While the Maggie Thatchers are very few, it is more usual for ruling class matriarchs to run ruling class patriarchs who run the affairs of the world. Recall the case of Mary Cunningham of the USA. In the late 1970s, she had used what Nigerians would call bottom powder to rocket to vice president for strategy at Bendix Corporation and to become its effective second in command. In speaking about her controversial relationship with William Agee, the chairman of Bendix, whom she later married, she noted, "The indirect ways are more powerful. I'm building the chairman's faith in me so I can sit at his shoulder and influence him for the good of society." Yes, of course, only for the good of society. Perhaps the best recent example of how grand matriarchs run the grand patriarchs is that of Winston Churchill, the great 20th century war leader of the British. A woman neighbor of mine in London once claimed that men were babies. In disbelief, I asked her if she thought that even leaders like Churchill were babies. "Churchill was the biggest baby of all," she replied. Not long after, I read Mary Soames' biography of her mother, Lady Clementine Churchill, and had to agree that Winston, if not quite a baby, was a standard patriarch, outwardly strong, dominating, and masterly, but in fact a champion coached and managed by none other than his wife. On the jacket blurb of the biography I read, "Clementine Churchill was the perfect wife for Winston. For 57 years she supported him through the triumphs, disasters, and tensions which ruled his public and private life. Always Winston trusted her completely, and she became a valuable counselor and companion. He invariably wanted her opinion, but did not always take her advice. She believed in him passionately and in his destiny, standing beside him in public, seemingly serene, cool, and detached." Now that passage could easily describe any famous major athlete relationship, like the famous Anglo-Dundee-Muhammad Ali combination. Of course, as Winston's coach manager, Clementine, her coaching done, would sit by the ringside and look on, cool and detached, or even stay away from the bloody fight while her ward battled it out in the political ring. For Clementine, coaching and managing Winston was a conscious and dedicated career. Here is how their daughter Mary puts it. Winston was to be Clementine's life work. Her concentration on him and his career consumed the cream of her thought and energy. That's why we give honors to the forerunner, Marcus Garvey, who told these people in the 1920s, behind every strong man is a strong woman. And then you looked at Amy Jacques Garvey. And then you look at all the work that he did, and she's the one that put out his stuff. Same stuff that Clementine was dealing with Winston. Same stuff that Michelle was doing with Barack. Same thing. Playing that role of, from the visual, supporting wife and all that. No, she was the neck that was controlling the head. This is why the call for Moors is uplifting fallen humanity, and why Juali wrote humanity on her. You're looking at humanity, the brothers and the sisters and the children. No, humanity's mother. Humanity but mother. All those little things, the after effect comes from mother, comes from humanity. Uplift her, and this stuff is over. which is why they always go after her. Which is why they always go after her. Which is why the bullseye is always on her, the Asiatic woman. Once you get her out the way, once you get women to not recognize her power, and she's thinking that, oh yeah, you know, the man and the man and the man, and she's the one that brought men here. And she's not even considering that she brought him here. What are you talking about? You're a son. But keep in mind, this is a very key point. For this matriarch stuff to work, mother's mind has to be right. Mother's mind has to be right. If mother's mind's not right, throw in the towel, stuff's over. Because they'll use anything to sway her. No different than talk with Amor earlier today. Out of honor for mother, he's taking care of another man's child because that guy's a deadbeat. Right? He wanted to do whatever with the mother, did whatever. She had a child, and then now they're not together. Now this Moor is taking care of the mother and the daughter, which the daughter is not even his. The daughter now, because of her lack of knowing who she is or whatever, she's abandoning the idea that, oh, this man should be getting honors because he's doing more than my dad's doing. He's the one that's buying me stuff. He's the one that's paying the rent. He's the one that's going to work. While my dad is over there doing whatever with some other woman who's not even my mom. And then he's trying to hold the stuff together, and then the mother is not siding with him because of course she's going to side with the daughter. Right? Of course she's going to side with the daughter because that's a daughter. You know, you're just another meat that just came in the picture. You know, I love you, but you're just another meat. I'm looking out for my daughter. Daughter does madness, mother backs the daughter. Daughter does craziness, mother backs the daughter. Eventually, you know, you're gonna have the boil over. And then you have the boil over now. Highwaymen come, and then they're saying that he has to leave when he's the one that's on the lease, not her. And she is oh no, we'll leave because, you know, we're not on the lease or whatever like that. You know, play that independent woman stuff like, well, yeah, you better get out and all that stuff because I ain't call the highwaymen on you and they're going to do what I say because women and all this stuff. When they don't even recognize that it's already tainted from the jump, because how come you're not with the father still? What happened to this dingbat? Where'd he go? Why is he over there and not handling his affairs so this brother right here could go handle his own affairs that he deal with? No, he has to pick up some other man's baggage that he doesn't want to deal with. Which again comes back to mother realizes her power. She's not going to let that BS fly. She's going to make sure that these people are held to their responsibilities. If they want to play, you know, a rooster, you know, or cock in the hen house, they do what they want, strutting around and all that stuff. You can't even lay an egg. Shut the hell up. You don't have no power. You're just strutting around. Just like, same thing that they're saying, just like the alpha male, the rooster. walking around the hen house, pining all the hens or whatever like that, as if he's somebody. Let all these hens get together. Let all these hens get together, see what's happening to rooster. No crowing in the morning and all that stuff. Shut the hell up. Come take up these eggs to take them to the farmer. Get the basket. You know me waking people up 5 o'clock in the morning for nothing. Shut the hell up, alpha male. All the alpha males need to go somewhere because you're a wimp. So if you're so alpha, you should be transferring that alpha to mother and let mother do what she's supposed to do. But no, you want to give her honors because that's that European mindset. Now they think, oh yeah, the children come from the testicles and all that. No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. It's all about ovaries. Shut the hell up. You're talking BS. Well, if it wasn't for me, no, you have nothing to do with this. It was for her 9 months is why stuff happened. It had nothing to do with you. You're nothing. Zero. Serve no purpose. She even told you, you're a 2-minute guy and all that stuff. You ain't do nothing. You even do nothing. I was just moaning just to make you feel good and all that stuff. You didn't do nothing. But, that only happens when she gets mad or whatever. And of course, she's getting mad at her son, which, you don't get mad at her son. Slap him 2 times, send him to his room. Get mad at these mothers who are letting him think that he has some type of power because he laid the dick down and all this stuff. No, he didn't. It ain't nothing to do with that. Woman, matriarch, mothers is what rules. Patriarch doesn't even have power like that. The only way patriarch has power is when women play independent. You already know that Dwayne Wade's son turned to a daughter because of the mother, not because of him. The mother did that. Mother let that happen because mother wanted a daughter. So made son a daughter. That's BS. That's woman misusing her power. Charlize Theron, all these people, taking all these sons, turning them into girls. That's abuse of power. That's not supposed to be happening. That only happens in patriarchal societies. That doesn't happen in matriarchal societies. As soon as he starts talking, Mom, I think I'm a girl. Immediately, you're getting sent to grandma. Grandma beat that ass. Beat that girl out of you. Beat that girl out of you. What do you mean you have a penis? You're talking about you feel like you're a girl. What are you talking about? In what world do you come from? With that BS. Only in patriarchal societies. That's why they told you the facade of patriarchy, because it's a fiction. Patriarchy is not a real thing. It's a fiction. It's a fiction created to keep woman down, to not recognize her God power. Once she doesn't recognize her God power, patriarch rules, which is why patriarch is ruling. You don't realize that a syringe is a penis, just like a gun is a penis, and all the other male-dominated weapons of choice are penises. Why are they penises for? Because patriarchs running the place. It's actually, we're not even going to go there because they might block stuff because LGBT, RFGH people don't like to get talked about. If the wife became the overt head of her own nest, She would have to do all that for herself, and she would have to do far more. There is an Igbo woman's lament based on farming life, which details the 6 occasions when a widow recalls the death of her husband and cries uncontrollably. The first 3 are when she needs him for farm labor, planting, tending, and harvesting, for each of which she now has to hire and pay laborers. The 4th is when there is a meeting of the kindred. With her husband dead, who will inform the widow of the deliberations? The 5th is when there is a festival, and she has to buy her own fowl to cook for the feast. The 6th is the day she is drenched in her unrepaired thatched house. That day she knows nothing is painful as losing a husband. Let us consider the 4th job listed in the lament. His job as her political emissary to the arena of public affairs. It entails much more than reporting back what transpires in assembly. At the ostensible head of her nest, he participates in politics in order to protect her and her nest from those dangers, social and natural, which her society combats through public measures. Same stuff that they're doing right now. Same stuff they're doing right now. Put a wedge between the mother and the father, have them blaming each other, and then both of them dumbasses forget about the children. And then the state steps in and then takes control of the children, vaccinating your children without your permission because you sent them to those people's school, which is patriarchal or whatever like that. You sent them to those people's school and you didn't know that you were putting them in the jurisdiction. You thought they were going there to learn. No, they're not. They're wards when you take them there. Not that they can't go there, because we know Moors whose children are in those schools and they're A students and families together, and anytime there's an issue, they call up mom. Well, you know, your son was there. Pardon? Huh? What are you talking about? My son what? No, talk to the dad. Now, of course, they don't want to do that because an Asiatic mother and an Asiatic father working together, that's the devil's worst nightmare. Patriarchy's worst nightmare is the household that has stuff in order. Their worst nightmare is when they try some BS and mother says, oh, hold on a second, and passes the phone to the enforcer. Now they have to deal with the enforcer, which they don't want to deal with because they already know she's going to put a battery in his back while he's on the phone or whatever like that. He's looking at her. She's giving the eye signals and the hand signals, and then obviously he doesn't want to deal with her or whatever like that. She starts going crazy. So he's going to do everything in his power to make sure these people know that this is what it is, and you better do what you're supposed to do, because if I get in trouble from her because of you people, I'm coming down there to go come see some principals and stuff like that. And they don't want that. Which is why, like the mother said in the chat, it's best to probably homeschool. It's best, at this point, if you got vaccines that's killing people and stuff like that, people passing out, people half their face is leaning because they never tested the vaccine. 1 year, they got a vaccine to cure some stuff. In 100 years, they can't cure cancer yet with a vaccine. Stop the BS. Don't give these people ammo to use against you. Don't give them ammo to use against you. Because trust me, they're going to use it against you. They will. Not even they will. They are using it against you. In Western societies, in the days of male franchise, the husband as voter was his wife's political emissary. You want to maybe look up emissary, see what really you are. He used his vote to elect male lawmakers who passed laws in his wife's interests, laws which often punish the natural inclination and delights of men and help to trap men in nest slavery. Some of these laws passed by all male legislatures are monuments to female rascality and misandry. For example, long before women got to vote in the USA, there were laws against prostitution, a service which men needed to lessen the tyranny of frigid or sex-striking wives. Also, there has long been an anti-husband bias in the marriage and divorce rules of the Western world, a bias which in some cases gave the family house, custody of children, etc., preferably to the woman. Women did not have to vote, did not have to become the majority of lawmakers for such misandrous laws to be passed. They were passed by male lawmakers who were elected by male voters, all of whom acted as instructed by their wives and mothers. Oh yes, how readily a man will sacrifice men's interests from woman's once his patriarch's ego has been puffed up or his penis has been twisted. But why does the average woman prefer covert to overt matriarchy? Just consider the matter from her standpoint. Overt leadership would give a woman duties which expose her to many pressures and risks. As she well knows, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. She therefore concedes that onerous role to the patriarch and saves herself a lot of hassles. She makes him the formal leader of her nest and shifts onto his shoulders the burdens of decision-making, the anxieties of wielding authority, the dangers of defending her honor and her life through fights, lawsuits, and wars. When she declares that she is weak and lays her head on his chest and weeps to prove it and lets him make the decisions, she simultaneously massages his ego and exploits him. She offloads high-pressure and high-risk jobs onto the patriarch and takes for herself the superior but safer position of the power behind the throne. Thus, behind the patriarch stands his matriarch. She runs her world by running the man who runs the world for her. Patriarch doesn't have power. It's an illusion of power. Because the patriarch is really only doing what mother said to do. The patriarch is doing what mother said to do. Patriarch got out of hand. Patriarch thought he had something. He was, hey,